Um, I'm late, and it's yours. What's up, everybody? You know, I went live last night. I had a friend on that is an opinionated person, and I just found it really interesting. You know, I consider this person a smart person. He's, you know, definitely a book smart person. Um, and he's very arrogant as well. um, thinks he's definitely the smartest guy in the room at all times. And a lot of times he might be, but he he he's always been an interesting character to me. You know, he's somebody who got a lot of help and doesn't realize like just how fortunate. Maybe does now, but didn't realize just how fortunate he was to have the uh, unconditional help that he always had. But he is, he was the Palestinian person I knew my life. Like his family was from Palestine. His middle name was Palestine. Palestine. I don't know how you want to call it, whatever you want to say it, but I'm sure it's said differently depending on who's saying it. Um, but he and I had a common bond in a school full of racist white kids who a lot of them are Jays or were Jays, and I didn't know that back then. I didn't know that's what that was. It was so much deeper than just like regular racism. Because the girls liked me. I was the anomaly. I didn't look like all the rest of the people that were there. So I was the anomaly, and the girls liked me, but the boys always seemed to have an issue with me, and I never could figure out what it was. I wanted them to like me. I wanted to like, but at the same time, like I was always shocked by how like the wealthier the kid was that growing up, the more like chips he seemed to have on his shoulder. There was this one thing when I was in middle school. I moved to Northville halfway through 8th grade, and one of the janitors at the janitor at the middle school was this retarded guy. He was like I, I don't know, maybe not retarded. I don't know, but he was definitely slower than everybody. I think his name was George, and the kids would throw change down the hallway because he would go chase after it. And I always used to think like, what the fuck, you know? Like these kids are like you would think the kids that would grow up surrounded by everything and not needing anything and never having to struggle with the same shit. I mean, there's always problems and stuff behind closed doors, especially if you're a J. I can't imagine growing up in that fucking horrible world. But these kids were always so mean, and they were mean to each other. These are the kids that would, if one passes out early, they don't look out for the person passed out and protect them. They fuck with them. They draw on their faces, and they like this one group, which was like the tough guy group. And I look back on it now, and God, it was such a joke to think that these guys were the tough guys, except for one. One was a monster. Um, but they would do shit like put their balls on the guy's forehead if he fell asleep. And they'd all sit around and laugh. Like they'd all watch as that one dude put his balls on another dude's forehead and be like, "Oh, it's not gay." I don't know how that would work out. But they would always do shit like that, and you know, I didn't want to be friends with like obviously I wanted friends, but I didn't want to be friends with these guys that would there was this one that same group. They had a one of them who, by all accounts, nowadays would be considered autistic. And when I was a freshman, he won senior homecoming. You know, they got it in their head that it'd be funny for him to win homecoming king. So he won homecoming king, and like imagine what that girl had to go through to be. She probably was so fucking miserable. But because homecoming was a vote, he won homecoming king, and they all thought it was hilarious. And of course, he's a J too. It's funny too. Like I look back on it now, he's an absolute J. But he was, you know, he came from money, and so this group let him be in the group. And in reality, they treated him like they treated each other, but worse. But they still like they didn't treat him with kid gloves, even though he was fucking autistic or whatever you want to call it nowadays. I don't know what we would call Levitt, but uh, they treated him like he was an idiot. They used him. They got money off. They didn't like him. You know, they would fight him. He would fight. You know, it was just like these were the you know. It's like if I was looking at an old movie, you know, you could see these characters, these stereotype characters that all these kids were. But you just think like, why are you guys so miserable? Why aren't you guys like riding around in your brand new car with its jacked up speaker system, you know, your nice new clothes on, going from one fucking mansion to another mansion to go hang out at your friend's house or have a party? Why aren't you guys like living it up and just being like, hey, life is great. I love life. Life is so good. Let me help. You know, why is it always seems to make such ugly, mean people in that regard? And, you know, when I look at it now and I think those are the J's, those were the J kids. Not that one group. The only one that was a J in that group was the slow one. But like, you know, the I think there was a lot of them in my school. I just don't know because it wasn't a thing. But just the ugliness, that meanness, that and I didn't feel that when I lived in Plymouth, in Canton, and I went to that mixed melting pot school. I never felt like that weird. Like what is the issue? Why are you all such strange assholes for just no? Like I know kids are assholes, but it was so much different here. And again, you're looking at it like you guys just have everything. How many of you have pools? How many of you have a brand new car? Turn 16 and you got a car for your birthday? That's it was it was what I thought was I didn't get one, but I got given $1,800 for my birthday and told to buy a car with it. And I was told I had to find a car. Like I can't believe my family set me up for such disaster like this. But $1,800 was more money than it is today for sure. It's probably like $4,000 today, maybe. I don't know. But I ended up with a 1986 Delta 88 Royal Broham because that was all I could fucking get. Huge honker, nice. Hugh honker. Okay. But so this is the neighborhood that we grew up in, and him and I, you know, we just gravitated towards each other. I remember meeting him in drama class, and it was like we were the two sort of like just off to the side. Like we weren't a part of the cliques. And so we just started hanging out. And this is a dude that did acid before he smoked pot. I don't know how that's even fucking possible, but I grew up poor and once went to a school and thrift store closed, and a rich kid recognized them as his and tried to fight me for one reason. Oh, for some reason. That's so fucked up. That has to be one of the more fucked up things I've ever heard. What a horrible situation for you to be in like that. Not just, I mean, not even it, like even if he didn't try to fight you, just the fact that he would recognize his own clothes and be like, like. But see, that's what I mean. Like, why would the rich kid try to fight you and not be like, oh, dude, that's crazy? Like, why wouldn't he look out for you? That's just strange to me. I don't understand why the rich, the better feel that way. And it probably goes to show you that there's a lot more behind those big, beautiful house closed doors than we might realize. There's a lot more abuse. There's a lot more alcoholism. There's a lot more, just all kinds of awful going on. I mean, you would. I guess that's what I'm left to think because I can't imagine. I can't imagine having all of my needs met and just being able to do and go and experience and buy. That would just be incredible. Here in Carmel, India, you can find some good stuff at thrift stores and Goodwills. Well, I mean, I don't know what your age is, but it's the generation after me, like a couple generations after that thrift store became cool. When I was in high school, thrift store wasn't cool. You wanted nothing to do with being the thrift store guy. And that's it's strange too because it's one thing if you like ironically shop at the thrift store. For some reason that gives you the pass. But if you have to shop at the thrift store, that's a whole different story. But it all comes down to really like confidence and how you carry yourself. I'm 32, yeah. Well, see, I mean, even 32, like, I got 16 years in you, dude. Or 14 years in you. This started not cool when I was in school, but the following generation, it was cool. There you go, right? That seems about right. Yeah, you're on a submarine right now. I would imagine that would make all the sense in the world why you would be on a submarine and on my YouTube page. I gotcha. Oh yeah, no, we're definitely talking about the Jays and how they were in my neighborhood in Northville. They were everywhere. Like I mean, one of the when I was in junior high, yeah, junior high, that year's month-long history lesson. So strangely enough, my junior high year or my junior year, I mean, maybe it was my sophomore or junior year, my school decided that every Wednesday was going to be a PM half day. So we would come to school at like 10:30 or something like 11:30, something like that. It was a PM half day. I don't know why the fuck they thought that was going to be a good idea. Everybody came in wasted. But for the whole year, that's what it was. And during that month long lesson, they offered us the chance to get extra credit if we would come in on those Wednesday mornings and watch Schindler's List. We'd watch an hour of it or whatever it was. It was broken down into multiple Wednesdays because that shit took forever. But they pushed that shit on us like crazy. I also volunteered at soup kitchen in my city, and the same kid said I went there for lunches and also assaulted me and my friends with paintballs. He chilled in a cooler. Like, what kind of weird shit is that? In high school, I ended up fighting, and me and my buddies put glitter in the AC in his car. It's just crazy how all of that shit. What sort of music did you listen to back then? Everything. We had such a great. My generation is the best. I will say that because not only did we have our music, and we're talking about like the golden age of hip hop, the golden age of like when rock got really good, and then heroin kicked. I mean, regardless of heroin being really horrible, it does make for good music. So we had like the Smashing Pumpkins and shit like that. Like our whole scene was great, but we also had this. And see, it's funny because I thought that this was how it was in the world and or in the country, and I didn't realize it. In my rich neighborhood, there was a hippie revival. There was a 70s, 60s revival. We were all about it. And it was everywhere, no doubt. Like, you know, we were the kids that grew up watching the Wonder Years and shit. So it had been pushed on us already, and then there was that whole, we did Woodstock and shit like that. But we had this huge range that we listened to. Now, I mean, nowadays the idea that you could just pull up anything and listen to it is just I would have given anything to have that growing up. Just anything. I bought so many CDs just to listen to one song. You know that song "Sister" by the Nixons? Couldn't tell you another song they made. The Mighty KC by Four Squirrels. Like, there's some crazy shit. Music nowadays is amazing. There's just more of it, so you got to look harder, and it's just different. But and the fact that everyday people like me and my dude can make music, and we don't have to have like I don't have to go rent studio time and all that shit, and then put it on a DVD and send that DVD, and but like it's great. Technology is amazing. Technology has opened the doors so that we don't have to be nearly as controlled by the Jays, at least as far as the ability to produce and listen to it. Now, can you find success without the Jays? Probably not. Yeah, it's so accessible. The barrier to entry is basically gone to some degree. In defense of the Jays, I hear they had a hand producing some of the best music back in the 20th century. They did it. I mean, they obviously they have their hand in it, but they are the behind the scenes, the people that make the money. It's generally Goyam that make the music, and if it's a Jay that gets to make the music, a lot of those times it's stolen. They just take it. But everything, people don't think about it nearly as realistically as they should. When you talk about the 60s hippie movement and the counterculture movement and all that shit was all Laurel Canyon fake. It was all manipulated. You don't have these bands that are anti-government bands making anti-government songs getting lucrative record contracts. I mean, think about that. It's and then you look at it all too. Again, it's all Jays. All those record companies, Atlantic, these are all Jays. It. You're a fool to not think there's a conspiracy there. And then if you look into any of these narratives that they give you, I mean, it's generally pretty stupid. It's generally like this person was born in the ghettos, and then they got a special deal where they went to Harvard, and then they went to the military, and they got an award. I mean, it's just stupid. But like this notion that to be like a famous musician, right? You get in a van and you go around the country performing in bars and shit do you know how stupid that is? Do you know how ridiculous that is? Like especially considering the majority of the bands you know now, but like in their are young. They don't give a bunch of 40-year-olds opportunities. The people that make it are these young guys, and they've gotten discovered. On they just graduate a year ago, 2 years ago. How could they possibly be going around the country and building a name for them? Eminem didn't do that shit. Most of the bands that became something big, they didn't have this huge cult following because they made a big name. Like there's the Dave Matthews of the world. There's even the Maroon Fives, but Rich J kids. What are you gonna say? But especially rappers. I mean, you know, NWA, niggas with attitude. It's a boy band. That's a manufactured boy band. Those guys didn't grow up together. Those guys weren't homies growing up on the hood in the hood together on the corner. It's crazy. Look, the same people are still here day after day. It's amazing how obsessed with me you are. I love it. Just love it. The whole people just don't get it. I think we're told to believe like it's this dream you can have it, but it's so much more manufactured than people think. Get to be a famous this or that because you're really good. There are lots and lots of really good people out there that never fucking make it anywhere. I saw this video the other day where I guess these guys that play music on the street, these white dudes, he's probably Jay. I think one was for sure. Um, they stop somebody walking out of a place and they're like, "Hey man, can you rap?" And he's like, "No, I can't, but she can." And she gets on the mic, and the guy starts playing this song, blah blah, and she's just supposedly doing a free. This broad just tears it up, like just unbelievable. We'll see. I doubt she'll be anything. De La Soul was good. I mean, I don't know. I didn't listen to a lot of their shit, so couldn't tell you. I was Snoop Dogg came out when I was whatever 14 or some shit like that. Like I was there. Like as gangster rap was taking over, and and they were implementing a plan. That's what people just don't understand. Like I say, it's all manufactured. When the reason we had the hippie culture, the counterculture movement, was because they wanted to be able to go to war, and they needed the intellectual side to support them. And the intellectual side had grown up with the parents and grandparents that were World War One and World War II veterans, and they were all fucked up. And the intellectual side, along with the others, didn't want nothing to do with war. We knew the dangers and the horrors of it, and we were like, nothing, no, we definitely don't want anything to do with this foreign business J war bullshit. And they needed to figure out how do we get the intellectuals to support us. And that's when they came up with the whole hippie thing. And they put together all the traits they said were undesirable, and they started putting that out there, using their own kids. Jim Morrison's dad was the admiral on the ship used in the Gulf of Tonkin false flag event. It's proven to be a false flag. That's Jim Morrison's dad. Why do you think he always hid it? He told people his parents were dead and shit like that. He's a UCLA film student, huh? But his parents are dead, blah blah, staying up on Trick's rooftop, and you know the Oliver Stone bullshit. But Jim Morrison's dad was directly connected to the machine. I always talk Crosby, Stills, Nash, Young. Crosby, Stills, Nash. David Crosby is like the Crosbys, like the original Crosbys of the narrative. He's of that lineage. He's always, he's blue blood. And then Stills and Nash, both of their dads worked for U.S. mine, the military, but in the mine control sector. You know, it just, what makes more sense? Does it make more sense that they were somehow going around the country figuring out, like, just finding all of these amazing acts, and then, these broken people, and what, giving them these $1 million contracts to speak against the government, speak against the war, speak, does that sound real? And they all just happen to be, it's funny how when you listen to just about anybody, really, you listen, like, I used to hate listening to old live music because it seemed like it always ruined it, especially when it comes to like a Crosby, Stills, and Nash. It was like, man, how come you can't play it like it's on the CD, like it's on the record? How come when you're live you sound like some shitty garage band, but when you're in that studio, whoa boy, do you sound like some sort of world beater? And of course, all these are like kids fresh out of high school. Some, like, just think about that whole narrative. And so they create this hippie character where it's basically like, look, you're either a good, upstanding American who has a good job and wants good things in life, and you support the war, or you're against the war and one of these hippies. And that psychological damage, that psychological warfare, especially when they only gave us 3 TV stations, and people would shows are getting 20 million viewers a night and shit like that. It's all manufactured, and it's all really well known. We all know that shit. Like, you just don't think about it. What would it take? Like, just think about how difficult it would be to get yourself. You have a there's no cell phones. You're going, what, from town to town, look, grabbing the yellow pages, start calling up bars. Hey, can we play in your, and you're just, how would that even work? How would the average person even begin to do that and then happen to get discovered and be famous? I mean, even in the Doors movie, Jim, they go from like nothing to everything. Everyone's tainted. I always suspected you were also the son of a bigwig who fraternized with Jays and were just rebelling. Why? What's the reason? Lupe Fiasco, the goat of Chicago rap. Lupe's okay. He now works at MIT. He has a few lectures on YouTube. I mean, it's the amount of like one hit wonders where it was like the J kid wants to be a superstar, so he does this and he gets to have his little moment of fame, and then he goes and he sells real estate, or he goes. I mean, those stories. It's so many of them. And then on the other side of that, it's like it's this. We all kind of know it, and it's sort of talked about, but it's not really talked about. Like what the Jays did, because we always refer to it as like Hollywood. Hollywood used to be so racist, and Hollywood used to be sexist. No, it wasn't. Hollywood's not a thing. Hollywood's an idea. Invisible borders. It's an invisible house, just like Israel. Invisible house. But what they did to so many young blacks, and to some degree Mexicans and other brown, but especially to blacks. How many blacks were just screwed out of everything by these rich, arrogant Jays who were already fucking rich? They had no reason to screw the fuck out of people like that, but they did. Why did they? Chameleon Air used his one-hit wonder and leveraged into a real estate. He wasn't a one-hit wonder. He had a few songs, actually. He had a few songs, but again, where does a guy like that come from? I think it's so hilarious when you the clown show that gangster rap became. I mean, I guess it always was. We have to understand that it's always been closeted homosexuals being presented as these gangsters. Guys like Tupac. Tupac was 100% a gay guy. Go ahead and tell me the like. I have to look at it from just a really simple perspective, right? And that's my perspective. If I'm in my 20s and I become famous, you guys know a wake of mine. You guys know, Guy Williams broke up with this one again. This Guy Williams, because I would have banged so many hot chicks that that fame would allow me. I just would have. I'm I was raised to be shallow like that. Right? Tupac, you can't tell me anyone. You could he was associated with Jada Pinkett, but you don't know about the only sex that you can guarantee Tupac had was when he was raping that chick in her butt while forcing her to give a blowjob to his buddy. That he got convicted of that, remember? And if you were to like break down Tupac's facial features and shit, Tupac looks like a J. He just has the black pigmentation. The hair. He looks J though. His shape, his face, all that shit. Tupac was a clown. And so many of these guys are clowns. You look at 2000s rap. You look at like the Chingies and the what's that guy's name? Um um Santana, Jules Santana. You just look at, I mean, Benzino. These characters that were allowed to ride, and go look at those 2000s videos. And the guys with the giant pants on and the giant t-shirts on and the bandana with the hat on and and it just, we look like fucking clowns. They had us looking like clowns. 50 Cent is about as fake as it gets, right? 50 Cent is this guy who supposedly got shot a bunch of times. Have you ever seen what somebody looks like when they get shot? You ever seen what old gunshot wounds look like? Go ahead, look it up. Healed gunshot wounds. Same thing with Tupac. Tupac ran around with his shirt off all the time. 50 Cent runs around where the fuck did you get shot at, dude? Oh, in your little cheek dimple? I'm supposed to believe it. Your little cheek dimple is where you got shot. Like we're so, it's all so manufactured and it's all so easy to see it once you see it. Once you see it, it's really hard not to see it. It's everywhere. The clown show, the giant dresses, I mean, t-shirts, right? Like they have guys all in Tupac with his little Aunt Jemima headbands. Got to get your nose ring. Got to get your ears pierced all over. Got to rock your jewelry. Got to get all your money and give it back to them. Buying worthless fucking diamonds. Oh, look. Mine's in the shape of Bart Simpson. Isn't that cool?
Oh, but sweetheart, you forgot. Then you're also going to be guilted into, would you like to donate $1 for the homeless kids? Or, oh, at almost all the registers.
Not would you like to? Well, that's at the registers, right? I thought you meant the TV show.
Here's what I ask you.
The TV shows where they're like, you enjoying what you're watching? Look at these fucked up people. Look at it. Like, I didn't send anybody to war. And nobody fighting in war is fighting for my freedom. My freedom is never in fucking danger. You and I are in more danger from cops than we are. Our freedom is more in our lives, our freedom, our safety is more in danger from cops than anyone else in the United States. You guys realize that? You know how crazy that shit is? You're not going to get, you are way less likely to get killed by some random black guy or some random South American coming from, the asylums from down south, asylums. And mental homes, and you are way more likely to get pulled over by a disgruntled cop, had a bad day, whatever, looking to pick a fight, has a problem with something you say you're doing, fucks your shit up. That happens to regular people more than anything else does. It's terrifying. And the thing is, I have all kinds of respect for cops in the fact that, that they call, somebody has a gun, and if I call, they'll come. That's really cool. That they'll deal with that situation, and I don't have to. However, ruining people's lives over plants, you know, ruining people's lives because they flipped you off, or they didn't cower to you like you think they should. It's pretty crazy. I also think at the same time, if you run from the cops, black men, you unarmed black men, whatever black men, stop running from police. They're looking for a reason to shoot you, and you give them a legal reason to shoot you. Oh, yep. Can't do anything without being called schizophrenia, because I'm clearly talking to the voices in my head. I love how stupid people can't debunk what I say, so they just fucking say stupid things because I mean, it always seems like it's bot. I always go with bots because I refuse to believe so many regular people are that stupid. I believe that if you don't agree with what I'm saying, don't like what I'm doing, then like real people would just tell me what it is. You know, when you don't have that answer, you're just like, no, I just don't like you because comb your hair. What, I don't know. Like, why are you here day after day? But like, it just seems like real people. I can't imagine real people are that big of losers. Doesn't matter what time I go live. Doesn't matter what day it is. They just come here so they can hate the guy that thinks we should eliminate the J Menace and kill all the pedos. Really? Like, how many people are like, that sounds like a terrible idea? It just seems strange. Seems like that just wouldn't be a thing that regular people do. Regular people would absolutely be like, no, no, no. Whatever differences we may have, that's secondary compared to eliminating pedos at the very least. I understand if you haven't quite gotten to that J position yet, because you know it's the thing like you just haven't thought about it. You haven't been encouraged to think about it. It's one of two things you're not allowed to talk about. You know, and it's that one way more than the J's are the one thing, and then the number two thing is the vax. They really don't like us talking about that either. But it's we are. Dave, you need to stop. Everything we're talking about, it always comes back to that. Incidentally, OpenAI CEO is Jay. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Yeah, there is. Do you understand there is though? Like that's you're doing the program right now, right? There's plenty wrong with that. Do you understand that these guys are committing genocide right now? And unless you're opposing that genocide, you're supporting that genocide. And I would guarantee that those guys are giving a lot of money to the genocide. Yeah. You have to stop being scared to say the truth. I mean, you don't do that with everything else. Like immediately, you know, pull that safety card. Like, not that there's anything wrong with that. Of course there is. We're talking about a supremacist cult, a very supremacist cult that is the backbone of the pedophilia problem in this country, in this world. And you know, the string pullers. The reason why most of you are stupid enough to fall for Jesus is because of them. You know, all you Christians, remember, you think like Muslims think Muslims are the best. Jays think Jays are the best. Christians think that bad guys in the Bible, because it's not Satan, it's them. The people that killed Christian God's only son, Jesus, your superhero, that they are Christian God's chosen favorite people. Do you know how crazy that is? I mean, it's insultingly stupid. Like it's not even well hidden, and that's what I just don't understand. Like, what you guys don't understand how fucked up that is? I mean, they already put their book in the front of your Bible, and then tell you that yours is the secondary part. That's too hot for you.
It's pretty peppery.
Mm-hmm.
My pepper.
Yeah, it's front of the mouth.
Yeah. Holy Jesus, this is
If you read the Bible, you would know that not exactly true. No, it is. It is. And the thing is, like this that thing I read the Bible all the time. If you have a Bible verse or a chapter or whatever that you think I should read, I would love to do it. Because if you want the Genesis story, I'm well versed. You want the Noah story, you know, all that shit. Excuse me, the Sodom and Gomorrah. You know, when you justify your bigotry, like it's all bullshit. Wasn't talking to you. And the Jays are a small population compared, but they are so resilient, still here. That's what your YOUR really matter. I'm mad about them being resilient. Do you understand how like stupid that argument is? No, pay attention. It's because they're horrible people. It's the cutting and sucking of baby penises. It's the thinking women's vaginas are disgusting. It's the fucking genocide they're committing. It's the slavery. It's you don't get to you don't have 0.183% of the world's population doesn't control the world because they do everything right. Especially since you can't give me anything. When I say, you know, tell me some good stuff they do, you don't have anything. You just say dumb shit like what I'm really mad about is how resilient they are. That's so stupid. That's such a dumb J thing to say. Instead of arguing the actual points that I'm arguing and the reasons why I'm saying I feel this way, you have to make up a narrative for me so that you can argue it, right? That's how that works. Whenever somebody knows they're wrong, they do that. They argue their own narrative. He can't argue against what I'm saying. So he has to make up some ridiculous shit that's easy to argue against. And this is such a dumb J trick. This is how they do it all the time. I'm circumcised and I'm not. Of course you are, because you're J property. And that's what your Bible tells you. But you don't know that, right? You don't know that. You think that you're what do you think you're circumcised? Why do you think the Goyim here in the United States do it, but not over in Europe? Because in Europe they say that the health benefits do not outweigh the risk. The risks way outweigh the benefits. So they don't do it over there. So why do we do it over here? Well, according to your Bible, it's because Abraham had a phone call with God, and God promised to never flood the earth again, and he'll prove it by showing us rainbows, as long as Abraham circumcises himself and the Jays circumcise the boys from here on out, and they also circumcise their slaves. And so that's what Abraham did. He circumcised himself, and then he circumcised his huge crop of slaves, and so it marks us as J property because we don't do their dumb shit. You know, all their other silly holidays and all that. We don't do that. Yet we do this one thing for some strange reason. And the thing is, they do it to us at birth. When it's them, they wait until the 8th day because the woman's vagina is so disgusting that the baby needs 7 days to purify before the moil will dare cut and suck on its penis. But if you've ever noticed, if you've ever had children, newborns like a couple hours old are tiny little shriveled up little nothings. They're just barely there. They just sort of coming on like, their connections are just starting to be made. And we put them through trauma. Horrible fucking mutilation and trauma within hours of being born. The Jays wait 8 days. An 8-day-old baby compared to a newborn, an hours old baby is like twice the size. They double in size. That 8-day-old baby has experienced love, comfort, warmth, happiness, food, all sorts of things other than what's going on. But when it's us, we're just like factory. They put it's just horrible. It's a really horrible fucking thing. It's fucking horrible. Right? Why are we allowing this? We have a song called A Cut Above. I'll share it in the link this time. That'll be the song I share this time. And it asks all these same fucking questions. Why are we doing this? Actually, I didn't know what I know now when I wrote that. But this is horrible. This is maybe why we have the largest prison population in the world. We have such a violent society that's so rape cultured and penis focused. Because right from birth, the vast majority of males in this country are traumatized beyond comprehension. We just don't even think about it. That's the point. It's supposed to have a little bit of humor to it. Uncircumcised weenies look weird because you've been programmed to look at the other ones. Because you've been programmed to look at deformities. Look, it's a mutilation. It's a deformity to be circumcised. We've been tricked into believing how we're born is wrong. Are you kidding me? Whether you believe, especially God, why would God do that? have foreskins, why doesn't he just dinkle dink and make the fucking foreskins disappear? Why do we have to be traumatized? Traumatized, like, okay, so when it's the goyim, the baby is just probably just Latin. I don't know if they've done their first latching on or whatever yet. Maybe they have, maybe, but it's within a few hours of being born. Like the baby is still blue and shit. Like like you don't understand what a newborn baby looks like until you've seen it. It's not like on TV where they show you 2-month-old babies. These are the little tiniest, most frail little creatures. They're so fucking perfect, especially when it's yours. It's so perfect. And you let them take this little 5 pound, 6 pound thing that you've been growing, your wife's been growing to make it this perfect. And they take it away from you and they put it in a little nursery. It's all alone. Still got mom in its eyes and in its ears and shit. Like it's and they fucking take it to the operating room where they basically crucify it. They put its arms up like this. They strap the arms down on each side. And then they strap the legs together like it's being crucified. And they put this weird little bell-shaped thing around the penis, and when they spin it, this blade comes out and cuts the foreskin. And they fuck up all the time. All the time they fuck up. But they Guillain-Barré syndrome, GBS, that's polio. When it happens, the baby goes, ah! And it goes into shock. And its arms are, it's strapped down and you just cut its fucking penis. Oh my God. I get so emotional because I allowed this to happen to my children like a fucking idiot. They don't use anesthetic on a newborn baby. That's dangerous. They just fucking do it. And they take this baby now. It's alone. They take it. They put it in the nursery. They don't want to take you, the baby, in shock. You'd freak out. What the fuck's wrong with my kid? No, they let it come out of shock all by itself, alone in this fucking cold nursery. And when it finally comes out of shock and starts passing out, because that's what happens when you come out of shock, they take it to you and they go, oh, look, little man Sweepy, he just had his surgery and he was such a trooper. And you're like, oh, come here. And they've wrapped up the wound and so it can pee all over itself. The baby's, who knows how long this baby has been since it's had its surgery. Could be an hour, or more before it comes out of shock. And you just did this to your perfect little your perfect little your perfect little what? Why the fuck would we do that shit? Because the Jays tell us to. For their bullshit. To mark ourselves, well, we don't do it. We let them do it to us to mark us as Jay slaves. That's what Abraham did. He marked the non-Jays, marked his slaves, and that's what we do to this day. Causing unthinkable trauma to every single male. Doesn't matter what your dumbass fucking sky daddy is. You think you should get circumcised because the Bible says so, and you don't even really understand what the fuck it says. And then there's dumbasses like me and my wife who were, I was against it, but my wife was like, no, they don't want him to look different and blah, blah, blah. Like, fuck that. It's one of the two things I absolutely regret. That and letting them have even the little bit of birth vax that they got. Fucking hate it. All this fucking J shit, it's disgusting. It's fucking disgusting. And how do you oppose me? What are you going to tell me about that's wrong? Because you know what they do, right? Again, they think that the vagina is disgusting. So, in the J community, before they even build a temple in the new area, they'll build what's called a mikvah. And it's this special bath that J women go to every month after they think they've stopped bleeding. They go to the mikvah where they're checked to make sure there's no blood, and if there's any blood, they gotta wait a week. But if there's no blood, then they get to immerse themselves in this nasty ass standing water, old, stanky ass, lots of different people in it, stanky ass people don't shower, getting in this stinky ass water, mikvah, so they can cleanse their vaginas because their vaginas are so disgusting after they menstruate. It's mind numbing. And after this, after all this violation, they got to run home so their husbands can sleep with them right away because that's when they're super clean and good to go. It's fucking awful. It's awful. But it has one advantage because unlike us, they have to do what they it's called a bris. We've all heard that term bris before. But they perform Brit Milah at the bris or Brit Milah. I don't know how to say this shit. I'm not fucking one of them. But it's the baby isn't like when the woman's menstruating and shit. If she has the audacity to ask her husband for something, like pass me that spoon, he'll set the spoon on the table and then she picks it up. He doesn't hand it to her. She's that disgusting because she's menstruating. And because the baby has gone through the vaginal canal, because the baby has gone through the process and there's been blood and stuff, vaginal blood, the baby is basically off limits for 7 days. And the moil for sure isn't going to touch that. Now, the moil is somebody whose sole job it is to perform fucking circumcision. That's all he does. He doesn't do sermons and shit. He goes around doing what we're about to talk about. Knowingly, he went into this job knowing that's what he's going to do. And so what they do is on that 8th day, they have the bris, which is this overly joyous party. They make it overly joyous because they know they're about to commit trauma. So they make it like overly joyous. But remember, this baby has already experienced lots of things us goyim don't get to experience before the trauma. Love, happiness, warmth, cuddling, all these things. And they have this big party, and the moil comes, and he pinches it, and he cuts it with his little device, and then he sucks on it for whatever desired amount. And I can't really, I think the parents eat it. I don't know who eats it, but a lot of times it's eaten. Maybe it's chopped up and eaten by money, as well as the placenta is also eaten. Not in all cases, but in more than enough for it to be a fucking problem, which is more than one. Like, it's a problem. It's a fucking nasty problem. But this thing happens a lot more than people think. And so after the cutting and sucking, the baby is then passed around to all the different family members. Love, love, love. It's okay. It's okay. Love, 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 love. And it's like showered with love to try to compensate for this horrible thing that's been done to it. But that's what they do. That's what they're supposed to do to keep the world from getting flooded again. Has nothing to do with us. And because God shows us rainbows, we're doing the right thing. That's literally what the fuck your stupid book says. And it's just, why is that a thing? Why is that a thing? Why do you have to understand that when they talk about the fact that they're the most persecuted people in history, they've been kicked out of 100 countries in the last 1,000 years, and the Bible times and the blah, blah, blah. It basically comes down to that more often than not. The reason Hanukkah is celebrated is because of something called the Maccabee Revolution. And the Maccabee Revolution is when this group called this family called the Maccabees decided that because circumcision had been outlawed, they were allowed to do all their other goofy shit. But it says that, like, when it gives the evidence, it's like they were forced to eat meat that wasn't kosher, and they were forced to worship on a day that wasn't, on Sunday instead of Saturday, and they were forced to stop cutting baby penises, cutting and sucking baby penises. Like, the first two things are, how do you even enforce those two things? How do you even make people eat meat that not kosher? Like, and then how do you make people worship on whatever day you want them to worship? I mean, it's just stupid, right? But outlawing circumcision, now that's a whole different thing, apparently, because back then you couldn't walk around without everybody knowing whether you were circumcised or not somehow. I don't fucking know. But these Maccabees decided that they were no longer going to follow the rules and they were going to circumcise. And this family of Jays went around the countryside, all around Europe somehow, Godspeed, with their magic. Because back then travel was real easy, apparently. And they somehow knew where all the different little individual Jay families were, little farms and all that. They knew where all of it was somehow. And they went to all these different J families and gave them the option to circumcise or be killed. The Jays were killing other Jays, forcing them to circumcise. And then once they forced them to circumcise, they forced them to join they didn't force, they just joined. They yada yada joined the revolution, and the army got bigger and bigger until they finally were able to attack the Seleucid Empire to earn their right to be able to cut and suck baby penises, because that's literally what it's all about. And after, like, I can't remember, it's like 20 years of war or some crazy stupid shit, they finally won the right to be able to perform circumcision. Like, that's literally what Hanukkah is all about. 7 crazy nights or whatever, like bullshit, all that crazy. It's about that. That's why they never talk about it. You ever heard any of them talk about, well, what? You ever said, hey, what's Hanukkah about? What's it about? Oh, it's about a revolution where the Jewish people fought against the oppression from blah blah. It's not. It's not. It was fucking insane. Why would I talk about black people next? They have no power. They're not. They're a tentacle. Black people have been made into a tentacle, and it's a small tentacle. Black people make up 13% of the population, the U.S. population. White people make up 69% of the population, unless you take out those with Hispanic in their backgrounds who just think they're white, claim they're white. Then it's only 55%. 69% of the population compared to 13%. Black people literally don't do shit. They have no say, they have nothing. It's just an illusion. So when you see these commercials where it's a bunch of black guys hanging out at the barber shop like, yo, dog, we need to go vote, dog, because if we don't vote, dog, we can't say nothing, dog. Like, just playing on all these terrible fucking stereotypes. Understand that it's a joke. It's a fucking joke. Even if every eligible black person voted, did vote, which most of them think it's a joke anyway. And then there's a lot that, take out the kids. So we're talking about take out everybody that's a kid and with any sort of record that's not eligible to vote. And you're probably down to maybe like 5%. Half is probably kids. Maybe a third is probably kids. So, I mean, just it's just a joke. It's an even bigger joke to think the Jays matter when they only make up 2 to 4% of the population, U.S. population, 0.183% of the world's population, but 2 to 4% of the world's population, and only about half of that would be eligible to vote, 1 to 2%. So, why would it fucking matter what the Jays think? even if all of them that were eligible to vote voted in one direction, it would be maybe 2% of the fucking population. Like, that's silly. That's fucking silly. Adam Sandler is awful. He is the most talentless, fucking overpaid, just embarrassing. Like, there's this movie he did before the big ones. It was called like Overboard or something like that. I don't remember. It's this movie where he's on a cruise ship or he's on a ship. Something I don't remember. But it's Billy Madison, or it's Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore, like, rolled into one character that's just really terrible and not very like, it's just, and you think, how did somebody watch that movie and think, you know what, let's give this guy another chance to make basically the exact same movie. I mean, these are just terrible, terrible fucking movies. Jack and Jill being the top of the heap, but you think, like, you know, once you start watching things, once you start understanding the J thing, you'll see it where you never really noticed it before. Like the movie Rounders, right? That's one of my favorite movies, right? That's a great movie. Well, uh, come to find out, wait, Rounders is the one. Yeah, it's the J Judge that gives Matt Damon, that, like, is the real hero. He's the J Judge. If you watch the movie Boiler Room, another great classic movie, the main character, it's his J Judge dad, and the, like, the B story is all J. It's all J. And how, like, we're just monkeys and they're just so much better than us. It's fucking crazy. You'll start seeing it everywhere. You will start seeing this shit everywhere. If you start looking, you just open your eyes and look. You'll see it everywhere. Watch any of your shows my wife likes to watch, the Ion shows, the Criminal Minds, and all that other kind of bullshit. They're always, 90% of the time, they're the judges and the lawyers and all the powerful positions. It's always the same. They're manipulating us, and it's not even like a. We were watching a movie the other day that I'll rewatch come Monday. We'll go back to it. But it's called Hollywoodism. It was made in 1998, how the Jays invented Hollywood. And then this whole movie is about how they not only invented Hollywood, but America. The America that we live in today is their creation. And they used Hollywood to do it. And it's like, is it a conspiracy theory when they make the movie bragging about doing it? How they kept everything in-house. I mean, again, Hollywood wasn't racist. It wasn't Hollywood that decided to paint white people up in blackface, in brownface. It wasn't Hollywood that said that gay people couldn't be in movies anymore, so the term beard was created. It wasn't Hollywood. Think about this shit. Think about where, like, all of our ideals, all of the American, like, the America that was, supposedly, before the America that is, before TV got here. And they were able to shape things how they wanted it. We were supposed to emulate what we saw on TV. Think about, like the America you see in the old film reels and shit. It's nothing like what we think it was. Like, it's, and then it turns into this, Leave It to Beaver, where the dad wears his suit and tie all day, and you can tell, like, he's off of work because his tie is or his shirt is unbuttoned and his tie is down a little bit. He still wears it, And if somebody comes to the door, he'll put his jacket on and fix his tie. It doesn't matter, you know, he'll be able to do that. But like, and the wife, you know, Mrs. Cleaver, she gets up extra early so she can put on all her makeup and her pearls and shit so she can clean the house. And she's like one of the children, and the father is like the absolute head of the household. And I mean, it's they did this to us. They created our entire reality. And we were told that if we didn't emulate it properly, we were these outsiders. We were wrong. We were bad. If you question the thing that you're told to believe, that doesn't make you smart. If you're like, hey, I see a hole in this, can you help me understand the hole? That doesn't make you smart. That makes you the bad guy. You know, it's the one thing you see in this too is this constant association where they are trying to make their plight the same as blacks. You know, it's like, look at these old stereotypes they have of us, always showing that we have all this money and we're always in control and we always have this power. I mean, look at it. It's just like the blacks. Look, the blacks, they have them singing and dancing and fighting each other and acting like idiots, just like they do to us, where they have us with money and power. Can you believe that? The white people back then. Like you see this all the time where they have literally convinced us not to say that they control the money, that they control Hollywood. They brag about it. When they say it, it's okay. When you look at the historical narrative, it's factual. It's undeniable. And yet, when we say it, it's supposedly like we're supposed to believe it's a negative. You know, it's so crazy. That's a slur. Don't you say that? That's a slur. How is that? Money and power, fantastic. You know why they don't want you knowing that? Because if you know who controls it, then you can say, well, why are you making it so bad? You control it, make it better. And then it's not this chicken running around with its head cut off. It's by design, and we go, oh, okay, it's by design. Let's eliminate who's made us into this situation. No, it's not racist. Yeah, not at all. Anybody who says racist is just stupid. We're not talking about race. You can't convert to a race. I don't care how much you buy into the idea that looking like a clown makes you a black person, talking like a clown makes you a black person, even if you're white. You can't convert to being black. I hate this whole idea of like, you know, like it's embarrassing. You know, when I was a kid, that the term wigger came out and it was used to describe the Vanilla Ices of the world. You know, because white people weren't supposed to do that for some reason. White people weren't supposed to adopt a fashion style and a dance style and a way of, because like we're supposed to hate each other. You know, that's supposed to be black music. You're not supposed to do that like out of honor, out of like homage. Hey, I really like what you do. Can I do it too? Like, no, that's not what it is. And they've always had us, you know, yeah, getting at each other, not looking at them doing it. It's all them doing it to us. But I remember telling my dad this one time, like, blah, 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 this wigger kid. And he was like, what? What'd you say? And I was like, this wigger kid, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, what? And I was like, this wit. Oh, like it just dawned. I didn't even think about it. I had no idea, like, what I was doing. Like, it was this word that was used in my, you know, in my vernacular, in my lexicon, And it just was what it was, and I didn't think about it. But when you think about like how commonplace that word was and what it was supposed to represent, right? What a horrible word. Wigger's worse than I see. I know there are people like trying to get me, so I gotta watch what I say. Like it's really weird. So trying to have an adult conversation makes things really difficult because there are clowns that can't actually debunk or argue anything I'm saying. So they just desperately try to get me. But to me, Wigger is worse than the N-bomb. It's okay if I say the N-bomb, which gives more power in the first place. If I won't say it, that makes it or have more power. Like, God, it's so stupid. They have us so stupid. The problem is if you say the word, not the racism. If you think that word only belongs to black people, you're racist. That word means ignorant. That means your skin color doesn't matter. But if you put an A on it, I'd rather be an A-N-I-G-G-A so I could get drunk and smoke weed all day. Like, oh, that's a great message, Tupac. Thank you. Nothing like getting drunk. Ooh, boy, that's going to make people really fucking competent, right? They're in your head 24/7. Fuck yeah, they are. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not like you. I can't just get my circus, my bread and circus, and be distracted. No, I think about it all the time. I know that right now there are children being killed by Israelis. Right now, there are children being killed by Israelis. Right about now, there are children being killed by Israelis. Like, it doesn't have to. I'm a big picture guy. I know all you guys like to focus on me, but it's not about me. As much as you think I'm great and want to focus on me, I'm much more concerned with the bigger picture. And no, I'm not Palestinian. No, I don't have any association with it. I'm not even a free Palestine guy. I think that notion is insane. What the fuck does free Palestine even mean? You know, when are we talking about? Pre 2006, pre 1967, pre 1948, pre 1918? Like what free Palestine are we talking about? Who we're gonna put a monarchy in there? We're gonna put a U.S. U.S. monarchy or U.S. diplomat or whatever. Is that kind of like how the Palestinian Authority controls Palestine? Is that bullshit like that? Palestine is yesterday's story. It's not about the victims. It's about the victimizer. And it's not about end Israel because Israel is just the invisible house. It's NJism. And listen to Michael Rappaport. Listen to John Lovitz and Jerry Seinfeld and all of these guys that get interviewed and say that like if you oppose Israel, then you oppose Jays. Well, they say it, not us. They look at us as all goyim anyway. So why don't we look at ourselves as one big goyim too? Why don't we look at it the way they do? The whole thing about everything I do is I'm 100% honest. And I'm 100% truthful. There's nothing I say that's an exaggeration. There's nothing I say that isn't true 100%. And so you see it in the comments. That's why they never argue anything. They just tell me I should stop saying it and blah, blah, blah. Because there's nothing they can argue. I'm right. We're talking about the worst of the worst cult. Does the worst of the worst kind of shit to people. And we're better than that. We're better, and it's happening. Like, they're not talking about it, but the protests are still happening all over the country at the schools, the universities, the colleges. They're still protesting. You're just not hearing about it. The last thing they want is for us to realize there's more of us than we think. We're supposed to think we're alone. We're supposed to think if we think this way, there's something wrong with us. I mean, all of you dumb Christians, you really do have to be like struggling with it. Because you can't look at this whole Israel situation and be like, well, they definitely are the victims. They have a right to defend themselves. Nobody else does. They do. And they were just attacked. Like, let's just say October 7th was real and Israelis actually died. They didn't. And Israelis were actually taken hostage. They weren't. As many as 200,000 Palestinians have been killed. They're reporting it closer to 50,000, but it's much bigger than that. It's a genocide in response to what they claim is around 1,100 people in Israel were killed. They don't even, here's a list of the names. There was no funerals. Well, there was a handful of funerals, but there was no 1,100 funerals. Around 1,100 funerals. Like, look at all this shit. Look at how desperate people are. I am talking about big boy table stuff, guys. Why do you guys want to talk about me and not talk about the big boy stuff that we're talking about? Do you understand how weird and goofy that is? Like, you're outing yourself as being really stupid if you can't stay on topic here. You want to talk about me? Why do you want to talk about me? Why am I so fascinating to you? Because you're YOUR crazy. Okay, so if you're not watching me, you then just go watch other people who are crazy because they think we should stop a genocide. That makes me crazy. Here we see, now we're just gonna get these like random, like, you know, again, it's like little kid comments. Oh well, it's just you're crazy and we're here to troll you. And like, okay, so the guy that thinks we should cut off the J's and kill the pedos, that's the guy you're trying to troll and fuck with. I just, can you explain it? Like, you're already talking enough. Let's see. And since you're not a bot, right? Since you're not bots. Like, it's so really like goofy. And again, I can't imagine. I've said it time and time again. If I was watching a pedo hunter on YouTube, and I found out that he was this fucking horrible redneck that only went after gay black men, I would totally support that guy. Like, I might not agree, and he does it because of Jesus and all that other shit. Like, I totally, as long as you're exposing the pedos, and I'm all about you doing it. That Gordon Flowers guy, that guy's clearly a big dumb J. He's extremely racist, even if he might have a black friend. Like, it's but what he does is fantastic. He exposes these disgusting. All the power to him. And that's, I just can't imagine if I happen to stumble across somebody. I guess I'm just too old to understand trolling. I can't imagine I'm going to spend hours in someone's comments trying to get them to stop talking about important stuff and pay attention to me. Like, I must just be too old, I guess. But it also absolutely falls into the Team Jorge, like typical Jay Israel kind of shit too. It's you know, I could absolutely just block every single one of the profiles that does that shit. But I'm grateful they're here. I think every time somebody comments something stupid and doesn't actually address the thing I'm saying, it just proves even further that they can't, because clearly they're here in a negative fashion. And if I fuck something up, like if I were to do a math problem and get it wrong, or I got a date wrong or something like that, or a name wrong, they're quick to jump in and tell me what I'm wrong about. And it just shows, like, every single comment. Look at how much effort goes into trying to stop somebody going against the Jays. And there's literally no education coming my way. Nobody thinks to say, well, here, let me tell you what you're getting wrong. Let me try to, you know, let me try to help you. Let me try to educate you. These people are here. They'll be here for 3 hours if I'm here for 3 hours. And then if I go live again, they'll go live again. I can go fucking 8:30 in the morning to 12 and they'll be here. That's some real devotion. And if that's supposed to make me feel some sort of negative way, like, I don't think you're really thinking about it too hard. I don't think there's any negative aspect of people obsessing over me. And I know I know eventually, if there are real ones here and they're not just bots, they're going to start to feel stupid. They're going to realize, like, why the fuck am I trying to interfere with this guy of all people? And I've gotten a lot of my audience that way. Back when they used to do this on Facebook, I used to pull people all the time. Because at the end of the day, we're good people, you know. Us, the Goyim are good people. My, here's a great example, right? So last night we ordered some food, and we ordered from this place all the time. And this time I called from a different number. And when I called from a different number, the same girl that answers all the time took my order, same order, we've gotten it many times. I guess she didn't recognize the number or whatever it was, but she was like, I need a card and something and a deposit or something like that to hold the order. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, my wife's coming to pay. We order this food all the time. I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, well, you know, it's a big order, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, I know. We get it all the time. She's on her way there. Like, she just wanted me to call it in. Like, I don't get it. Don't you recognize, like, the order? And she was like, whatever. Okay, fine. Just blah, blah, blah. So then my wife shows up and actually hands her a card, which is kind of funny. I thought she was going to pay with cash, but she handed her a card. So she's like, it's snowing real bad. And my wife said something about, like, you know, you okay, honey? And she was like, yeah, just, you know, been here all day. And she's like, have you seen it outside? And she's like, I don't know, I was just working because it was crazy busy. And my wife was like, well, hey, you know, do you want me to go pull your windshield wipers up so they don't get stuck to the windshield? It's going to be bad tonight. And as soon as my wife said that, the guy behind her was like, yeah, if you give me a broom or something, I'll clean your car off for you too. And it goes to show you that, like, all it takes is one. This happens a lot. If one person reaches out and shows shows even a little bit of kindness, people will often follow suit. That guy went out there and cleaned off that girl's car, got a brush, cleaned that girl's car off. The girl put a bunch of extra sauces in her. You know, normally they charge for those extra dressings, but she put a bunch of extra dressings in the bag. Like, it was just this domino effect, all from just a random act of kindness. And that's who we are. That's who Goyim are. You know, the Goyim aren't the ones that make the decisions that allow, you know, children to starve to death, that allow pedos to consistently get let off and get rehired and shit by Nickelodeon. And, you know, it's not the Goyim that give us our entertainment. It's not the Goyim that tell us how to think. They manipulate us through the TV, and we have to understand that. And it's, you know, it's really fucking, yeah. Hey, it's good. Get out of there. What are you doing? Oh, you dumb girl. A bunch of J lawyers from Toronto. We had a great time. I love those guys. Do you? Don't you love how out of touch I am? I mean, I think if you were to actually sit back and look at, you'd see shit that like there were plenty of times where you felt like an outsider. They made you feel like an outsider, and you just brushed it off. There were plenty of times where it just didn't. They did something that you were like, "Wow, it's not really my thing," but all right, you guys go right ahead. You know, there were lots of things like that where because you've been told your whole life that you're not supposed to acknowledge any of it, you don't. But if you just sit back and think about it a little bit, you might realize that you know there's situations that okay, there's situations that you've been trained to overlook. You subscribed and I still don't read your comments. I mean, you're not special. I don't read a lot of comments. Yeah, it's a bump. That sound of me blowing my nose is a bump. Now you wonder why I don't read your dumb comments. Oh wait, no, that was a different one. Sorry, wrong one. Like, you know, our whole existence is a manipulation. And there's clearly more to it than we realize. And at some point, we're going to demand better than what we're given. Nothing but nice to you. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Again, I just find it fascinating. Why are you so obsessed with me? Arm wrestling guy. If you're an arm wrestling guy, then you're probably like always in competition with other people. Like I'm not that guy. You know, I don't. I even though I have a tiny penis, it must not be like micro tiny because I don't feel that need to show anybody up like that. Like I'd much rather smash you mentally. Arm wrestling's amazing. Devin Larratt is my guy. Or Devin Larratt, sorry. Devin Larratt. It just looks like Larratt. But Devin Larratt's the guy, man. He's great. But I'm not that guy. I don't. I'd much rather like have an intellectual back and forth. I do find entertainment in the circus, but I don't nearly partake. You know, it's all good. Yep, I read too much into everything. Yep, that's my problem. That's my problem. No, I shouldn't. I shouldn't read into things. I should just what? Just get affected and upset by the mean comments coming my way. People just don't get it. I've been this way. There was a. I was in high school. I was in 11th grade or something like that. And this girl, one of my friends was at our. We were at the house. We were hanging out, and she was like, "Oh, I forgot to tell you. These girls were having a. They were talking shit about you in the locker room today." And I was like, "Awesome." She was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "They were talking about me. They could be talking about anything else, and they're talking about me." And she was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Yeah, that's great, isn't it?" You're always talking about me. I'm okay with that, but like, I don't need it. I'd much rather everybody fucking, kings move me mentally. Would you like that? People just messing with you to mess with you. Yeah, man. If you think you're messing with me by me consistently pointing out how you guys don't, you know, don't seem to be bothered by pedo stuff, don't seem to be bothered by genocide. Like, you're playing this role. If you think that bothers me or messes with me, like, keep going. I'm okay with it. You have to understand I let you be here. I am God here. I'm glad you're reading comments more though. No, if I'm not reading something or specifically talking about something, I can read comments. Otherwise, I'm gonna sit here and just fucking filter through a bunch of dumb nonsense. Come on. I wish it wasn't I wish it wasn't that way. That's exactly what I'm saying, dumb. See, look at how dumb Justin is. Dumb J Justin. That's exactly my point. Like, are you that stupid that you don't realize you're making my point? I mentioned the pedo stuff, and then instead of you saying, yeah, you're right, that shit's horrible, we need to do something about it, blah, 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 you try to talk about other shit. That's some weird stuff to me. You know, I flat out call you guys out on that shit, and none of you deny it. You're pedo supporters who clearly support Israel, and that's just really fucking weird. And if you think by messing with me, like you think not proving me wrong on anything and just playing this stupid character messes with me, like, oh, please don't do that anymore. Oh, you're hurting me so much. Please don't get all your dumb friends to do it too and share all my shit as much as you can and sub and like my stuff. Don't do, or dislike. Don't do all that stuff. Please, please don't. Oh, I'd be so upset if you did. Did you see the flat earthers going to the North Pole to see the 24-hour sun? At the end of the day, when it comes to the flat earth stuff, I don't believe we live on a ball flying through space. That's dumb. I hate to admit it, but even, oh, God, I even hate saying it. Even the religious story, the Genesis story, makes more sense than the Big Bang story. The Big Bang story is fucking dumb. The idea of planets and flying around in space and all that shit is dumb. And if you believe that stuff, I don't know. From what I generally gathered, like anybody that believes the Earth is round, into it at all. If you've looked into it even a little bit, you realize that like it's just silly. It's silly and it's stupid. And you know, the fact that there's even a question in 2025 that really intelligent people are questioning this thing in 2025. That in itself shows you that something else is going on. It's 2025. We would absolutely, undoubtedly know if we were on a planet spinning around and blah, blah, blah. It's just, it's so stupid.
Stupid mom.
It really is stupid. But the moon is round, the sun is round. What does that have to do with anything? Why would that matter? Those are lights in the sky. You're talking about lights in the sky being round. Okay. And they're actually circles. They're not even spheres. So much so that they tell you to cover it up. They say, well, the moon happens to actually be spinning at the exact speed necessary to make it so that literally not even a degree of paradox is ever detected in the face of the moon that we see. It just happens to all be spinning all at the same speed that we only see the one side of the moon. Do you know how stupid that is? Mm. What is the point then? What is the point of the lie? To keep us in fear. If you believe that you live on a ball flying through space, then in the back of your mind and probably and even way more so than the back of your mind, you believe that any day now, any time now, any minute now, a rock can fall out of the sky and wipe us all out just like it did the dinosaurs. And a population that lives in fear, a people in fear, is a much easier to control population than a confident people, you know, welcoming each other, helping each other, knowing and shit like that. There's lots and lots of game. Not to mention, I mean, it's a huge business. NASA and space travel and space movies and lasers and spaceships and all that shit. That is an incredible business. That's probably one of the biggest industries in the world is selling us that belief. And you literally have no reason whatsoever to believe in such ridiculous nonsense. You've never experienced a single fucking thing that warrants you believing live on a ball that's spinning at 1,000 miles per hour at the equator and spinning around the sun, revolving around the sun at 67,000 miles per hour. Literally no reason at all for you to believe such utter nonsense, but you do. Yeah, well, it makes sense. It just makes more sense. Tell us about the Jay's weather controlling machine. The HARP and the chemtrails that they bragged about? Well, we talked about that. We're not talking about that right now. None of it's true. It's all a movie prop. I agree. I agree. I don't think any of it's real. I think we live in a giant TV set. Giant fucking. Uh, uh, it might not even be giant. It might be small. I mean, the problem with talking about all this theoretical bullshit is it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that we overthrow the Jays that control the narrative, and then we can answer these questions for ourselves. I don't know. I know that space and shit like that isn't real. That shit's goofy. Do I know exactly what we live on and all that shit? No, I don't. I know they know. And I know the only way we know is if we overthrow what they know. You could buy a cat strap and see the curve of space. No, you can't. No, you can't. Unless you're using a fisheye lens, but no, you can't buy a 20. See, that's what I mean. This is how like absent-minded we are. You think you can buy a $20 rocket that can fly up and see the curvature? Are you out of your mind? $20 rocket you can strap a camera to? That's insane. But that's the kind of nonsense we believe. If it was that easy to do, why do so many people believe it? The people that generally believe that the earth isn't round, those are smart people. It's not stupid people that believe that shit. The stupid people are the ones that believe in the pretty space model they're given. The smart people are the ones that are questioning things. And if it was something that was that easy to debunk, there wouldn't be an argument. So your theory is to go back 200 years to maybe go forward six. Your theory is to go back 200 years. What? If you watch a lot of movies in the 2000s, 2010, there are a lot of actors I wrote, believe it. Go back, that was them. I never noticed first, but I don't care. All kinds of shit like that is shit I don't care about. If that stuff is true, then us overthrowing the Jays will answer it for sure. That's the thing about all of it. So much of these fringe theories and shit, well, they might be true. I don't care. Doesn't, you know, there's so much of it, all of it is distraction. If you're distracted by anything and you're not looking at the fact that right now they are literally committing genocide while bragging about it on TV and then taking our tax dollars to pay for it. She's doing it again.
No.
Oh. Oh yeah, there's more over there.
Yeah.
That's a good day.
Where are you going? Where you at?
For all the pilots know LOL flat Earth conspiracy. Right. Sure they do.
Not up here. Go downstairs.
Sure.
Get down the stairs. Puke on the
I mean,
wood.
the fact is, if you're a pilot, you would constantly have to, adjust for the curve. I mean, it's just stupid. Everything makes more sense. And to think that you're on a ball that's literally spinning at 1,000 miles per hour, and that there's this layer of invisible air that keeps the vacuum of space from destroying everything, and on the inside, that air that we live in is spinning at the exact same speed, so much so that you can go in the other direction. Like it's just stupid. It's just stupid. Gravity, magical gravity, makes space clumps fly around each other, whereas it makes us stick to things. Like, do you understand how intelligent gravity has to be? Gravity would have to be the most intelligent force in the universe, because gravity would have to know exactly how much force it takes to hold a bunch of water, billions and quadrillions and fulfillions and jajillions and babillion, dajillion, dadillions of pounds of water to a spinning ball at 1,000 miles per hour, but then also know that I'm about to do this. Oh, look. Okay, gravity's not going to push my hair back down, towards the center of the earth. Gravity lets the little cottonseed float in the air. It knows to let that happen, but also knows to hold the water to the earth. I mean, it's really dumb. It's really dumb. And to think that, like, science isn't uh, some conspiracy, you're crazy. Of course it is. There's kind of a lot back down in there. There's kind of a lot back down in there on the sock. And can I have that, please?
Here.
Move the peas, Esther. Gravity works relatively to mass. Your air is nothing compared to the tones of water. Yeah, right. That's what it is. Gravity works relative to mass. Okay. That is nonsense. That's not how something works. Right? That's fucking silly. The whole notion of, like, the reason the cannonball hits the ground is because gravity is pulling it towards the earth. That's not what's happening. And this whole notion, like, the funniest thing is everything that they talk about, how do they even test it? It's not like they can test for all of this shit. It's not like they have, like, labs set up where they can make a synthetic environment where they can figure it out. Like, it's stupid. There's more important things to worry about than the shape of the earth. Right. I agree. That's why I don't bring it up. The only thing about the shape of the earth is it's one of those things that if you can prove it, and you can show it to people, or you can at least then you create that you further the mistrust. If somebody is willing to say, oh, well, yeah, that's just another conspiracy, and you go, oh, well, you mean like the earth shape? And they go, oh, well, yeah, I didn't think about it like that. Like, that's the one thing where it does matter. But I say it all the time. The only thing that matters is the J conspiracy. And it's funny to me because right now there's a whole bunch of dumb comments coming in addressing the earth shape, but not really addressing it. At least we have somebody talking about, repeating some sciencey bullshit. It's relative to mass and blah. No, it's not. Aries failure. It's a failure. The apparatus is always going to be affected by, like, everything you think is just silly. Thinking that there is these giant 747s flying through the air, and yet there's a force pulling down on every square inch of it. That's fucking silly. There are literally formulas that account for mass, blah blah blah. No, no, no. It's not true. The cannonball does not attract anything. And you can't build something that will prove that. Because there's always going to be the apparatus holding the cannonball and the other thing. And that's going to be affected by, whatever, bumps, little jump. Like, you ever been on the ground, and had a bulldozer or something roll by? And you can feel the shit underneath you even 20, 30 feet away? Yeah, there's all kinds of shit going on. But the idea of a round Earth, there shouldn't be places on Earth where people can see farther than the equation. 8 inches per mile squared or whatever it is. You should the curvature means shit should go away after a certain distance, and you shouldn't be able to see X amount of far. But you can, and there's so much shit that disproves the round Earth. Goofy formulas, goofy fake experiments, and silly NASA pictures. You personally, you're not going to be able to prove any of that. You have to trust the scientists whose entire livelihood depends on whether they push this lie or not. And they live a really good life. They're a NASA scientist or whatever it is. They probably get paid a lot of money and they have all this prestige and respect. Of course they're not going to give it up. Especially when their degrees and all that shit are virtually useless. Yeah, you're a fucking NASA engineer, now wash those dishes. Like, what the fuck else are you going to do? Especially when all you do is bullshit. But it's this, it's the same. It's just more J bullshit, more control, more fear propaganda. The Earth shape really shouldn't be an argument. If it was round, it would be absolutely provable. There would be no questions. The system would take the argument more seriously, knowing that there are lots of people out there that don't believe it's round. The system would say, hey guys, we're going to really address this and we're going to show you guys. We're going to launch something. We're going to launch a rocket with a camera on the top of it that'll show you it going from blue to black into space. We're going to show you, a zoomed in version of buildings upside down from us, out in space into Australia without any of that zip, zoom thing that they do. But at the end of the day, it's a big fucking distraction. It really is a distraction. And it's a way to divide us for some reason. It's just like with the rich kids, If you believe the earth is round, why does it matter to you that people don't think so? Why do people always get so angry about it? It's not like flat earthers are the ones out there doing the mass shootings and shit like that. Just like it's never atheists out there doing the mass shootings. It's always the religious crazy nuts, and we don't seem to focus on that. So much of the child rape stories involve the church. It's not atheists. It's not flat earthers. It's not trans people either. It's Christians. And yet, they need Christianity to keep us in control, because the main tenet of Christianity is that the Jays are God's chosen people. If you guys didn't believe that, then Israel wouldn't be able to get its $3.8 billion a year. Democrat or Republican, Christian or atheist, rich or poor, black or white, Palestine. Yeah, they love giving you two choices, don't they? Everything is so bleach spheroid. Yeah, that blah blah is not perfectly right. Oh, that's what it is. That is the dumbest nonsense So then all those pictures we've been showing, those were fake then, right? Doesn't look like an oblique spheroid. It's the stupidest nonsense. It's so stupid. And even if that was true, there are still places where you can see far too far. It's just what it is. The whole idea of ships going over the horizon can be easily pulled back into focus by a camera that can zoom extra far. It's just that simple. There's no other answers, right? There's no other way around it. But this is all, again, this is all stupid. This is all stupid distraction because look at how many people are willing to engage this conversation, but don't talk about killing pedos and don't talk about the whole J conspiracy and Israel and all that stuff, the genocide. Why are you guys so interested in talking about superficial shit like the shape of the earth or like me, but you don't want to talk about this genocide that's taking place and it's being done with your tax dollars? Isn't that crazy? Yeah, superficial. It's nonsense. It doesn't fucking matter. It's all about your own personal bullshit. You want to talk about shit that doesn't matter. I want to talk about shit that does. Why doesn't anybody want to engage about the J thing? Why isn't anybody trying to talk about that? We can't stop $1 trillion industry. It's sad, yes, but we can't stop the people with the power. Why can't we? We outnumber them. We outnumber them by a lot. You have to get that, man. The whole notion of not being able to stop them is part of the trick. It's just like believing they'll launch their nukes if we invade them. It's all just trying to make us sound, you know, to make us stupid and make us compliant and make us, you know, if you follow the rules while you're down here, the rules that they give you, when you grow up when you die, you get to go to heaven. And that's when you get to live like they do now. Doesn't that sound great? When the government is the pedos, you can't. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We can. Why is everybody so pessimistic? Why does everybody want to believe that we can't defeat the monster? We can. We've never been unified before. Imagine if we are actually unified. Like there have been times when portions of the people have been unified. You know what was one of the scariest things for them? George Floyd protests. Although I think manufactured on some level, when they looked out on those protests and they saw they were like 60% white, I think that freaked them out a bit. Because immediately we had the Brooks story and what was the other story? I don't remember. But we immediately had the two stories. The one at the Wendy's where the guy grabbed the taser and ran off. Like, what the fuck were they supposed to do? Of course you shoot that guy. And then the idiots burnt down the Wendy's. And then there was the other story, the Blake story, in like Minnesota or whatever, where the cops had him at gunpoint and they were like, get down. And he walked from the passenger side of his car around to the front of his car, opened up the driver's door, reached in like he was grabbing something. They supposedly shot him 7 times in the back, but he survived, and that was a problem. But they did that, I think, like, when you try to associate those two obvious fucking knucklehead stories with the George Floyd, it's like anybody with any, like, real self-respect isn't going to feel the same way about the George Floyd story as they do about those other two stories. But the news is showing us like that we are lumping those stories together, and it's like that's how they psychologically fuck with us. Not to mention that the weather started getting cold again, and they were going to go with the next round of the C thing. It's crazy how social media has made people even more divided too. You would expect people to listen to opinions of other good people, but we don't. Well, but see, but it's no, it's much better than you think. It's just that attitude that you have right now. If everybody just stopped doing that, if we all stopped going, man, it sucks that we do this and it sucks that we do that, and it's like, and we started looking and being like, look at what we're doing, like the whole Gen Z thing, right? For the last 20 years or whatever, we've been told how Gen Z is the laziest piece of shit, spoiled brat little Gen Z. They're never gonna amount to shit, blah blah blah. Well, it's the Gen Zers that are protesting Israel right now. From rich college campuses to the not so rich college campuses, because it's still money, even down to the inner city colleges and shit. They're protesting against against the Israeli domination. They're protesting right now. This generation of no do-gooder, blah blah, these no good, blah blah. This is the first generation to actually stand up to Israel. You just believe the worst because you're supposed to believe the worst. Understand, if you're a Christian, the best thing that you think could happen is that Jesus comes down and the 16 of you that are good Christians get raptured while everyone else dies in Armageddon. That's literally your best case scenario. Everything they give us is death, doom, and gloom. Why do they do that to us? You believe in Jesus and the devil, it's death, doom, and gloom. You believe in germs, we're all gonna die from biological bullshit. You believe in dinosaurs and the round earth, well, rocks are gonna fall out of the sky and wipe us out like they did the dinosaurs. You believe in a super volcano under Yellowstone, we're overdue for an eruption. And everything we're overdue for too, by the way. Everything we're overdue for. Pole shift, that wipes everybody out. Yep, everybody dies because of the pole shift. We're long overdue. We're long overdue for that rock to fall out of the sky. Wipe us out. We're long overdue. We're long overdue for another ice age. They're fucking. Everything is about keeping us death, doom, and gloom. You believe invisible germs are attacking you. They're making everyone sick. And they can make everybody sick. You can get the COVIDs. You can get the this. You can get the that. It's the COVIDs. Don't watch out. You're going to get sick. Invisible germs are going to get you. As long as you have an Okay, can anybody tell me what's your immune system? You should be telling these people to prepare for what's coming in these next 5 to 10 years. They're going to start killing us with no mercy. Probably. Unless we overthrow them. And the real key to the revolution is the women. Women are the key to the revolution. They are they're the glue. That's why they're made to be the second tier citizens that they are. That's why they're made into these shallow fucking, you know, morons pointing their ass to the camera when they get their picture taken. They've made the women into these subservient, you know, subservient, yet at the same time they have us arguing over whether you can beat us in sports, and you can't. It's fucking stupid. Let's stop it. But this is they want women distracted and all because they don't want women to realize the power they have. And we all know the power they have. Starts with a big old P.
Personality.
Yeah, that's what it is. If women were to it's the women that need to tell their male counterparts, their sons, their husbands, their boyfriends, their brothers, whatever. Look, we need you. We're not against you. We don't want to be against you in your blue, in your military fatigues or whatever. We need you because while they send you to the other side of the country, the other side of the state, the other side of the whatever, to round up a family just like yours, just like us. Somebody dressed just like you will be here rounding us up. And by the time you realize it, it'll be too late. We don't need you to put your guns down. We need you to do a 180 and protect us like you're supposed to. You know, it's the Jays that are trying to get us to fight each other. It's the Jays that create all this, you know, this horrible insecurity in women and this second tier citizen bullshit. Usually, funny is you don't believe many of it, but are already men. Huh? You believe. That's wrong. You're supposed to believe anything. You're supposed to see the evidence and be convinced. That's what logical. Yeah, what? Okay, so isn't it funny how instead of actually making a comment about what thing I've gotten wrong and why I'm wrong, you put this whole bunch of words in that say nothing. Like, I don't understand what the fuck. Why do you constantly do that? Just instead of pointing to your ignorance, point to mine. Make me look bad. I want to hear it. I want to see what things I'm getting wrong and why I'm getting them wrong. Not just, oh, you're wrong about submarines, right? Because we go come back to that, I know. But this is, you know, it's always interesting to see how like desperate people get to get the attention and to try to like, you know, it's all about character assassination instead of, you know, argument assassination. Why aren't you guys crushing the argument being made? You know, I'm looking at the things we're supposed to believe and I'm picking them apart. I'm then hoping you'll pick apart what I'm saying and maybe we can actually go back and forth on it. But instead, you just want to play like stupid. Well, you're probably, we already told you. Well, if you already told me, tell me again. You're going to waste the time to tell me you already told me instead of just telling me again. Like, it's all really stupid how, you know, how weird these comments get. Here we go. Here comes another one. Same person says, it's like you throw shit on the wall and steal it. About 25. Right. So, again, instead of coming up with this crazy way to say, this clever way to say nothing, why don't you just come say this? Like, say something that matters. Don't be stupid. It's fucking crazy how dumb you are. And you'll do it again, I bet. I bet instead of actually focusing on something, you're working on your next comment, some goofy analogy like, what's going on here? Insurance got a heads up. Firefighters defunded. Water shut off. Is there any way I can join this live? No. No. Sorry. You're doing a great job, and I'll read your comments. As long as you're telling the truth, I'm going to read your comments. I have real knowledge for these folks. Oh, where do you get your knowledge from? You don't want to go back for it. Like you say, it's a filibuster. Blah, blah, blah. That's what, yep. Another comment about what I'm doing. Instead of actually just answering the comment, answering the question, instead of just actually just saying, I'm doing this wrong, or just another one of these filibuster comments. Great point. I just find it fascinating, man. And I appreciate it because, like, you know, these are people that are here to prove me wrong, to try to dissuade me, to try to make me sound crazy. And yet they can't actually address any of the arguments. What does NASA do with all their money? You'll never know. Oh, years of research. Oh, where'd you get your research from? Like, see, these are why I never would let anybody on a live anyway, because they always say goofy shit. You shouldn't ask to be on the live. I should ask you, hey man, do you want to be on the live? Even though I don't think you can do it on this one. But the arrogance and being like, well, I have real knowledge because of what? Why don't you say the things then? You made this your lifestyle. That's how you know you're consumed. Okay, what the fuck is the point? I don't argue that I'm not consumed. I am absolutely consumed with eradicating the J menace and stopping and killing the pedophiles. I'm okay with that. Like, I don't understand. What do you, how is this a negative thing that I'm consumed with that? By all means. Where did you get, where do you get your research from? Well, you guys are here with me while I do my research. I don't do my research in the shadows and then come forth with it.
I mean, you learn stuff when you're not live.
Obviously,
Sure.
but I love
But
reading
you
stuff
always
on
share
here.
it live.
Right, well, but I like reading stuff on here. I like going through what we're supposed to know. And generally, it's not like you can say I was clearly watching Alex Jones or I was watching Anomaly or that's the extent of the people I know doing things right now. So it's not like you could say you saw me, obviously I watched those guys. No, I'm carving my own path. I'm sure there are other people doing what I do. Sure, why not? Why wouldn't there be? This is the obvious truth. But the fact that I can't get actual argument, I can only get this kind of nonsense, it just shows that I'm right. Like, if you're here to argue and you're just trying to trip me up or do, why aren't you just focusing on the things that I'm getting wrong? It's just, am I like, am I not saying this right? Is that the problem? Do you understand what I mean when I say that?
Yes, it's very easy to understand.
I'm just making sure.
If there are times where I know what you're trying to say, but your mouth is further ahead than your brain, like it's some parts that maybe people that don't know what you're trying to say would understand. And I that's when I always step in and be like, add that extra piece so they can connect the dots like you have already.
Right.
But
But
in this case, I didn't say anything.
right. Like I right. So it's not like unless it seems pretty simple, right? I'm looking at the narratives that we're being presented with, and I'm picking them apart. I'm asking you to then pick apart the narrative I'm presenting as I'm picking apart the other things.
Well, and
Is
I
that
think their attempt at saying, "Well, where do you get your information from?" is their attempt at trying to pick apart what you're saying.
no, no,
Maybe find,
no? It was him saying it back to me because I said it to the one guy who said you were downstairs, I think, when he said that he's done years of research, and I said, well, where do you get your stuff from? So that was just a smart ass guy. He wasn't actually interested in where I get my research from.
I thought it was a legitimate question.
Right.
Okay.
Oh no, no. We are asking you where the fuck you get your damn information so we can. Right. So instead of hearing what I'm saying, now you want to pick apart where I get my information. This is again, it's like you thought you were like a dog and you thought you grabbed something. You're like, "Arr!" No,
And
no,
every
that's
time you
that's
read
not what I'm
something,
saying.
you always cite the source and
Yeah,
show the video and the.
but that's not even what we're talking about right now. But that's what you're trying to make it about. You're trying to pick apart where I get my information from, not the things I'm saying, not the genocide stuff, not the pedo stuff, not the J conspiracy stuff, not the Bible stuff, which again, I pretty sure I get my Bible stuff. Um, fuck, where what? Oh, from the Bible, right? Right. Yeah, that's where that comes from. But like this is the dumbest. These are the dumbest, goofiest arguments you can get, and I appreciate it. I have to keep saying this. To me, the fact that you keep going this route instead of taking the easy route, which would be directly addressing the things that are being said, you're going in this goofy ass. Now, oh, so what you're saying is kind of, and that's just admitting defeat to some arrogant fuck like me, right? To me, if you could, you would, but you can't. That's why I kind of sound like a dick because I end up going for the jugular because I can. You make this really obvious stupid point. I'm not going to sit there and be like, well, the flowers on the other side of the garden. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Just say the fucking point. No, I'm going to point out that you're stupid. Why are you being stupid? Just address the thing that's being said and make me look. I can't believe I have to beg people to make me look stupid. I'm going against the narrative. I'm the one saying the things we're not supposed to say. It should be really, really easy for you to address what I'm saying with your wealth of information that must exist to back all the things that you believe, but you don't do it. And that just says more than I think a lot of people are willing to see. See, I mean, look at this shit. It's the best you can do. When you're stupid, it's the best you can do. Do you think the earth is flat? I already talked about it. Yeah, I don't think it's flat, but I don't think it's a ball flying through space. But that doesn't matter because until we overthrow the Jays that control the narrative, we don't get the truth to that story. So, can we go back to that part? Isn't this so crazy? Now, I keep smoking the reefer. Yep, that's blah, blah, blah. There's nothing we can tell. There's nothing you can tell me. No, there isn't. You can say what your point is, though. Like, this is crazy. Anyway, it's because I don't have another phone that I'm not just ignoring this and I'm more entertaining this than I normally would. But this is why I don't end up reading comments most of the time because look how stupid it is. What's the point? They literally can't say anything. You know? They want to go back to the Earth shape argument because at least they can be like, I saw pictures that it's round though. I saw pictures and the lights in the sky is round. And they can at least make some arguments on that front. When it comes to the Israel stuff and all, they got nothing. Literally nothing. They have nothing to say. They have no argument. And it's amazing because when you don't like that whole idea of like if you don't stand for something, you stand for nothing. Well, that's not true. If you don't stand against the pedophile stuff, then you stand for it. If you don't stand against the genocide, then you're standing for it. And if you're not telling me what I'm wrong about, then you're telling me I'm right.
Rosie's turn, it's my turn. I want to give it a try too. They're playing BitLife and I want to play too.
Yeah, of course, Nate. Why aren't you switching up?
Hey, could you send Rosie home?
Rosie's got to go home.
Rosie?
No. You guys aren't sharing, so Rosie needs to go home right now. I'm done with this. I'm so tired of you darn kids. Rosie, go home right now.
Hey, Rosie. Rosie.
Teamwork, right? I mean, tell me something wrong. Notre Dame wins. Okay, so now you're talking nonsense. Truth, and you're promoting gambling. Exactly. I love that shit. I do hope, I do think people should. If you have some sort of tip and you know something that can help somebody win a bunch of money off the system, do it. Tell us all. We should all take advantage of every tip we can. Until we overthrow the money, we need the money. Like it's really strange. How come none of you know about Team Jorge, or at least it's weird as if you are Americans, you would think that would be something you'd be interested in. Right? You know, that would be something that you would want you know you want the world to be better. You want the goyim to succeed. And if you have some sort of tip, man, give it to everybody. But like I say, this situation, we need to win. We need to win at all costs. Because it's the other side has been used against us for so long. It's okay that we fight back. I hate to admit I'm from this country. Huh? I mean, it just means you can do more, right? It just means you can do more. Oh, I trade stocks and bonds. Yeah, I'm a stock trader. That's what I do for a living. Yeah, big time stock trader. Oh, so blah blah blah. Alex Jones doesn't do shit. First of all, if Alex Jones is more entertaining, why are you watching me? Because you spend a lot of time watching me for Alex Jones to be more entertaining. Pretty interesting how that works out. I mean, they're just so stupid. You know, it's just the this is the narrative that you always get, and I pointed out here because if you see it here, you can see it on the larger scale. They literally say the same shit. If you're paying attention, you don't see anybody on the Jay Israeli side trying to make, everything seem okay. They claim that they're the victims and all, but you don't see a situation where they let somebody that questions things sit and talk with a group that can answer their questions and sort of put them at ease. The only thing you ever see and hear is them telling us not to talk about it. All right? Yeah. YouTube keeps me in your feed. So, did you want me to get rid of you? I can change it if you want. Like, I can fix that for you if you really need me to. Yep, you must dislike this channel over and over again. Sure, that's why you then sit here and watch it for a long time. Let the dog out, please. What?
He said, "Do you want to go outside?"
Oh, all right, cool, man. See ya. I'm trying to help you out, man. There you go. All right. Can I see your chat? Yeah, sure. Dislike also make your channel show in the algorithm, so it's all good. No, I know, I get it. I just want to help the guy out. Wait for this crash that's coming forward. End of Q1 if you want to get to the market. Financial reconstruction is underway. Yeah, 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 yeah. There's that's not important. I'm not interested in personal shit. We need to talk about what's going on with the system. We need to address as many people's arguments as possible. I want to hear why you believe in God with every bit you have. I want to address the J thing. We need to address why we're here before we can fix being here. A lot of people end up winning lotteries and shit, and because they're not right in the head, they fuck up and, their whole life gets a lot worse. Yeah, banana peels, yeah. Yep, that's what it is. You served in some pretty harsh conditions. No, wasn't to protect me. See, what kind of stupid nonsense is that, really? If you were really military, you would not say such stupid nonsense, right? You would know that nobody served in anything to protect my anything. Because as an American, I've never been in danger. Maybe like as far as the narrative goes, some stupid British bullshit, but who believes that? But I've never been in danger. You've never fought for my freedom. You've only fought for J nonsense the entire time. Every war, everything is J nonsense. And it's them getting dumb goyim kids to die for some fake idea like patriotism, which isn't fucking real to begin with. Yeah, I think that monster has any drinks the same glass. I still say thank you for your service because I do it. Every time we see somebody with a hat on, We say thank you. And we're thanking the dumb kid that lost their everything, lost their innocence, lost their fucking livelihoods, their sanity for some bullshit that they thought they were fighting for, which wasn't true. I don't thank them for going and killing a bunch of innocent fucking brown people, that's for sure. It's like as a father, I can see those guys as like as young kids and fucking fools being duped into fighting for something that isn't real. The U.S. Army does not fight for our freedom. Of course it's not. They don't. Nobody does. None of the militaries do. Support the troops, not the military. Exactly. Exactly. I'm not shouting BS and never will. I'm for the people, financial freedom. But we can't have financial freedom if they control the financial institution. What are you not getting here? You have a very very crazy ego, and you have to be right about something, but it doesn't. It's like, what are you even fighting here? What are you even arguing here? Of course, everybody should be financially independent. Wouldn't that be great? But again, it can't happen if they control the institution. Financial freedom, my only hope. Fuck living rich and dying broke. There you go. You're a rapper. Free markets are not free. Yeah, and they're not free to us. We stood at the gates. You stood at what gates? What does that even mean? Pay attention to what they do. Tell us, but they tell us, but people are asleep, so they miss out. No, it doesn't matter. They tell us there's an American dream. They tell us that you should go do this. You should go tour the country in your van and you'll get to be a rock star. It's not true. You're not going to come up with some viral song unless they want you to. And even if you come up with one viral song, good luck being allowed to come up with a second one or a third, whatever. But it's the American dream is only allowed to exist if you agree not to talk about one group of people. That's not freedom. That's an illusion. Jay-Z. Jay-Z is fucking great. Jay-Z did what he had to do. If not for Jay-Z, like Jay-Z turned so many more people on to the whole idea of a conspiracy than probably any other rapper. He adopted a personality. This is back before we had an internet. He saw that coming and adopted a personality that meant people would look into it and just embraced it. And you could see like he went into every one of their institutions and got run out, owning basketball teams, trying to be a fight promoter, trying to be title music should be the thing that every other artist is pushing because they make more money off of it. But instead they push Spotify and shit because that's what they're told to do. No, Rogan doesn't like people like me. Rogan made a shit ton of money and a shit ton of fame off of Eric Dubé and never had him on. Had people come on to debunk him and all these other things, but never brought him on. Why? Probably because he wasn't allowed to. They'd never let Rogan have me on. Never. Because I'd say these things, and they can't have me say these things. You're supposed to believe that anybody that hates the Jays is like some stupid fucking Nazi or some stupid skinhead or something. I know when I was growing up, I thought there would be skinheads everywhere. I thought I was going to have to deal with all kinds of crazy skinheads doing all kinds of crazy skinhead shit by the time I was an adult. When I was a kid, because they were all in the movies and shit. Higher learning. They're thinking the skinhead's going to shoot people and stuff. Like, I only knew that the people that said stuff about the Jays that were bad were skinheads and then crazy ass Farrakhan's. And that guy's a nutbag. Nobody needs to listen to anything that guy fucking says. So, like, he's crazy. But that's the black guy that's allowed to live a really great life and have a bunch of power and, all this other shit because he's a fucking absolute ass clown. Like, there's this one video on YouTube where he says, it's like, it's titled like Farrakhan talks about the good Jays and the bad Jays and how you can tell the difference or something. And it's like this 10-minute video of Farrakhan being like this overtly homophobic, like, I'm not gay. I'm not gay. I'll kiss a man, but I'm not gay. And it's just this weird, and he never actually addresses anything really. Like, he talks about it briefly, but it's much more about him not being gay, he promises. Like, it's really fucking stupid. But, so how did I know to buy Dogecoin? I don't understand. Like, because you made a good fucking choice. Like, do you really want to talk about you? Like, you should absolutely start a channel where you talk about you and see how well that works out for you, man. I think you should do that. That's a good idea. But we're not talking about you. You get that, right? I get that you want it, but there's a bigger picture here. How did you do it? You made a good choice. I'm sure there's plenty of times where you bet on something and it didn't work out well, and you're not like bragging about those because that's not what people do. I sure wish I would have bought Bitcoin. That would have been a really smart thing to do. I don't have to. You're doing, yeah. Okay, buddy. Like, this is why I think it's so strange. Why would somebody that called themselves truth and then brag that they know these things have such a hard time actually talking about anything other than themselves? That's some arrogant shit. I guess that's the arrogant way of, like, you call yourself truth. If you're going to call yourself truth, that's pretty arrogant in itself. But I've lost tens of thousands of dollars humbly. It doesn't sound very humble. People don't seem to know what humble means. Like, people will be like, oh, I won that award. I was so humble. No, you weren't humbled by your award. That's not what humbled means. You could be like, I was out there and I thought I was this big badass, and this chick came up and kicked me in the nuts and I fell down. I was humbled. Oh, yeah, okay, I get it. Like, that makes sense. It was a question you asked us to show you people how. No, I didn't. It was a question to you asking me how us people would know. And I never said anything about that shit. I don't know what you're talking about. Truth is living his life, trying and muddling. Okay. Shit, oh, that's 20,000 in the casino years ago. Yeah, there's no losing money like that shit. That's goofy. Dude, I don't care about what you're saying. I don't know what, I haven't cared about. I think people should do what they have to do. That's great. But I said the only way we can advance is if we talk about what's wrong with the system we live in, not how can you bet on something else that's going to work out well. If people want to listen to your financial advice, that's on them. I don't know who the fuck you are. I'm not vouching for you. But you're weird as hell, man. Yep, it's me, Smoke. Yep, it's because of me, because you don't seem to understand the top. I got you, dude. You are the truth. You are the truth. I'm just here to learn more about everything. I can't teach you about everything. Sorry, I don't know those things. I'm not going to sit here and claim to be a financial expert or a relationship expert or, I don't know how to build a house. I don't know how to build a house. Can't build a cell phone network. But when it comes to this J nonsense, I don't think there's anybody better. I haven't seen anybody better. And the reality is, like, it can't be a black guy. It can't be a white guy. You can't have somebody that they can then use that, one side or the other as a manipulation. I've got all of it, man. I can navigate both sides without you being able to cheat. and try to play a dumb coin that isn't there. But I think, like, again, if I'm wrong about these things, it should be a lot easier to point out than it seems to be. And at the end of the day, you don't seem to want to actually address anything being said. Lose the hate and be happy. I'm proud of my hate. So you're saying you don't hate pedos? Are you seriously saying that shit? You don't hate the Jays? Like, if you really did serve, let's say you really did serve, knowing that the Jays had your buddies and all that killed and all the shit you saw and all that horrible stuff was all for nothing. It didn't have to exist. And it was all about them gaining control or moving pieces around. It really had nothing to do with the narrative you were told it was. That doesn't bother you? It doesn't bother you that that's being done to more and more men and women. There more and more men and women are being tricked into joining the military to go fight for those same lies that you fought for? Do you know how fucking insane that is? Like, this is this is our time to shine. And you need to use that experience to tell the truth, man. Why would anybody go fucking kill brown people and go fight over in some place that's not a danger to us? They're not any danger to us. None of the people that you attacked were any danger to me right here, right now, or anybody else in the United States. You don't know what it is. You don't know the parts are moving. You don't know. Yeah, right. That's a weird way to not answer the question, though, isn't it? This is now I'm gaslighting. I'm gaslighting. Yeah, isn't that funny? Man, you can't really handle this, can you, Clayton? I'm sorry. I'm sorry your people were killed for the wrong reasons and you fell for something. That sucks, doesn't it? Don't you think you should try to stop other people from falling for it? It's not real. We're never in danger. You're more in danger from your average police officer than you are from anyone else. You're more likely to be killed by a cop than anyone else. Cop makes a mistake, you know, thinks you're somebody you're not, fucks you up. Oh, well, they got qualified immunity. Don't worry about it.
You should have seen or heard how uncomfortable my sister was when I was trying to explain the celebrities and Hollywood and its role in the child trafficking and pedophilia and all that. She has them all on such a pedestal.
Of course.
She was like choking and gagging on the shit I was saying, but she wasn't able to dispute the stuff I was saying.
Of course not.
But feeling like her brain cracking, I felt really bad for her. She still was not a true believer, but it cracked that surface and
right, you planted the seeds, right.
She can't look back and ignore it anymore.
No, she's going to see it.
And it's really going to upset her.
No, it's not.
You know, to not revere the people that she always has.
Okay, so.
And that's how a lot of these people are.
Like, I want to ask you something, but I don't want to throw you under the bus.
So don't.
But it's nothing like bad. It's like I'm not.
It doesn't matter.
Well,
your intuition said, "Oh, don't do it."
My intuition tells me that I don't think you can handle it. Are you saying that you couldn't, and we couldn't have a series like an easy, like it's nothing bad? That's what I'm trying to fight against.
I prefer not to be blindsided on live feeds.
Well, I mean, it's nothing like crazy. It's the rock stuff. That's all I'm asking. Like,
go ahead, sweetheart.
I mean, does the idea that they control everything and give everything affect the way that you've seen these things lately? Because it doesn't seem like you're as into it lately as you have been.
You weren't saying anything I haven't already thought about.
I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying the more that you think about it. No. Or do you not think about
it? I don't.
Okay.
I'm preoccupied. I can say that.
Okay. Well, my whole thing is when Like when somebody says the words and you hear them say the words themselves to somebody else or about something else or whatever, it's like it has to be in there then. And when it's in there, how do you address it? How do you over that's really my biggest question. And it's not a knock on anyone. It's a genuine curiosity. How do you override the knowledge that it's not, you know what I mean? Like you know that it's a narrative that we're given by the Jays to control us. So at what point do you go like, I know it's that thing is, and I know that thing is, and that thing is, and that thing is, I know all these different things are. This thing I like probably is too. Like, but how do you decide that that's the thing you want to believe? I'm always fascinated by Christians because it just seems so obvious, like such an obvious bunch of shit. What makes you actually believe it? What makes you override common sense and go, you know what? I'm going to believe that there's this God that is allowing, like right now the Israelis are killing a lot of Christians too. It's not, for some reason you're okay with it being Muslims, but it's Christians as well that are being killed left and right. A lot of those Palestinians are Christians. So why isn't like how do you justify saying that, I won this contest because I prayed, or I got the promotion because I prayed, or I like God was answering my prayers while seemingly ignoring the prayers of Christians to not be bombed. Like, isn't that kind of weird? Isn't that kind of self like how do you reconcile that? I'm not. This isn't like this is the kind of stuff where I'm like trying to say it, and I'm like I'm not trying to like kick you or something. I'm asking you because that's the kind of shit that over like that immediately. There's no way I could ever pray for anything. Do you understand how unbelievably selfish it is to pray for something while the church continues to rape children? The people that tell people to pray are continuing to rape children. Do you not? Again, how do you reconcile that? How do you just. You go, like, I want to go to heaven, so I don't think about that. I don't know. And it seems like it's such a weird question because I'm asking this question and I ask this question a lot. And instead of anyone having any sort of reasonably intelligent answer, all these children start attacking because their fragile way of looking at things is sort of being cracked. And instead of, you know, being an adult and having something reasonable to say back to me or whatever, they're like, who's let's see, how does this have anything to do with submarines? You don't believe in submarines. Who's the vending priest? You're arguing with no one, it's a problem. Like, this is the kind of shit I'm saying. It's just such desperate, weird nonsense. Instead of anybody saying, yeah, man, we need to do something about that. We need to get more people talking about that. Or even telling me what I'm missing, because I'm asking you, you're the believer. Let me ask you what you think. Instead of anything other than, it's just stupid shit over and over again. And that stupid shit makes me think I'm right. If you're not addressing what I'm getting wrong when I'm directly asking you what I'm getting wrong, then I'm not getting anything wrong. You're just here to argue. You just got some insecure weird shit going on and you want to argue, but you're the one that believes the crazy shit, not me. I'm not the one that thinks there's some God with this view of children being raped by the clergy, and It just does nothing about it. I'm sorry. You want to believe some crazy shit so you can feel better and sleep good at night knowing that you don't necessarily have to die because you get to go to the next existence or whatever it may be. Like, okay, I'm happy for you. But that's fucking wrong. It's wrong, and it enables a lot of really horrible shit to go down in the world. And when are we going to address it for what it is? Only fools mock God. See? Only fools can, have nothing to say. I'm going to mock God. God sucks. There's no God. God is a pedo. God's a pedo fan. God is awful. God is a weirdo. How many more things do I have to say without the lightning bolt hitting me before you realize how stupid you sound? Come on now. Oh, now I'm a demon. Yep, I'm a demon. Because you think when I don't think, that makes you a demon. You must be one of those door-to-door people. Shouldn't you be going door-to-door? Let's do, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Jesus Christ, this is so strange. It's so strange how difficult it is to have a reasonable conversation with people who supposedly hate me, yet come here every day. Anyway, everybody go get your free download. I'm going to share a song, A Cut Above. It's about circumcision. And it's cool. You got to have good songs. It can't just be fucking weird. But go get your free download. It's free. Just put the fucking 0 in the payment box and it's free. Share this shit with somebody. Like, share, sub. Do all that stuff. Help. I mean, unless you don't care about the J control, pedo stuff. If you don't care about that stuff, it's going to be an interesting few years to come. So hope you're prepared. The pedophiles, kill yourself.